will now come to order. Please rise and join me in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the next item on our agenda is items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Board of Education members.
I just have a couple things. I just wanted to welcome back everybody, and thanks to everyone for all the hard work you do for our great district. The other thing is that the Marine City and St. Clair bands are co-hosting the MSBOA on October 9th, and if you have not ever attended one of those, they are absolutely awesome. So get out and support our band. The other thing that was brought to my attention, and some of you may know the Finsterwalds from Marine City, Chris and Harvey, and she shared with me an article regarding the bell for that when St. Clair and Marine City play each other, they go for the bell. And she gave me an article. I know if I hold it up, you can't see it, but this is an article from October 16th of 1949. And it says, it's just real short. It says, co-captains Roy Stubbs and John Pruitt admire the Finsterwald trophy that they helped win for St. Clair High School Friday night in the homecoming game against Marine City. The trophy was donated by Finsterwald clothing stores in St. Clair and Marine City, which I didn't know they had a store in St. Clair. St. Clair will retain the bell until its football team is defeated by Marine City. And she gave me a note here that says, the bell came from a country school, but they did not know which school it came from. Finsterwalds donated the bell and its carriage that was designed and built to carry it. And as I mentioned, this was an article from 1949, so I just thought that was kind of a cool thing, history for our district. So that's it.
Anybody else? I'd just also like to welcome everybody back, and also to extend a warm welcome to all of our new staff and administrators.
I wanted to thank the Algonac community for their support in remembrance of Jacob Lemansny at the Marine City Algonac game last Thursday. And I also want to thank Craig Headley for the new website. East China website was launched this weekend. And Craig, if you have a moment to show us a couple of the cool features.
I'll take that article. We put the article up on the new website.
Okay.
All right. I promise I'll try not to talk too long. I wrote a few notes. Homepage of the new website went live yesterday. This has really been in the works for a while. This is not like building a local Wix or some of those advertisements you see. This is a project, and this is a little bit of work. But I think in the long run, for our community, for our staff, for our students, this is really going to prove to be a great tool and a great way to communicate to our community. So went live yesterday, and you know, when I converted it over and replaced our old one, there's still some things I need to fix and work on. But right now it's a pretty functional website. Parents, if you look down here on the home page, the bus route information, that's what I got a lot of emails on today, bus route information is up and live. So on our homepage, a couple things that we were looking at when we were building this. First of all, it needed to be responsive. What does responsive mean? Responsive basically means it doesn't matter what size computer screen you're on. Let's say I shorten this up. Everything should adjust and everything, like if you're on your telephone, if you're on a tablet, or on a bigger screen, you'll notice that everything adjusts appropriately. Number two, and one thing we're going to continue to do and continue to work on, is ADA compliance. American with Disabilities Act, especially with vision. They talk when you create new websites and design new websites, they talk a lot about contrast and colors, screen readers, those that are visually impaired. So we're continually, as we continue to build this and train our staff how to use this, because staff is going to be able to upload information as well and work on this website, we want to make sure that we're keeping that in the forefront of our mind. One cool tool I found, you'll see on the right-hand side where my mouse is this high contrast. And to us, we may think, what is this about? But if you're visually impaired, this is a great little tool. You press this button, it makes the background dark and the letters more white so you can read it, okay? Staff, you'll notice on the right-hand side, a little quick link that we have for our email, for Skyward, for our help desk, and things of that nature. Excuse me, on the left-hand side, I like these little buttons. I left them there because I thought they were cool, because the only couple things that are redundant, like staff resources, if you look up at the top where we have news, calendar, employment, enrollment, staff, students, and parents, these are kind of redundant buttons for those. But what I use these for is when staff is going to be able to, when the office staff is going to add articles and add content, there's some hidden buttons in here that we're going to be able to use when they log in. Lastly, it's mobile friendly, okay? If you've looked on your phone, it's amazing, it's awesome. Now, you know, 70% of the people, 100% of people have cell phones now. You want to find some information, you know, you go to your cell phone, and it's mobile friendly, so that's kind of cool. A lot less clicks, a lot less pages. If you're a parent, you want to go to the parent site, and yeah, it looks a little bland, but this is everything you need to know as a parent and how to get and maneuver through our website, including on the bottom to get our student handbooks. I was asked today, Mrs. Bebuck, we talked about student calendars. Where is the paper? We have a calendar, but where's the paper student calendar? So I added it to the parent resource links. And if I go back to our homepage, you'll see student calendar. There's the paper calendar. And I go back home. On the footer, on the very bottom of every building and our main site, it's also the student calendar is there as well, okay? So I put it on all of the main sources. Really what we want to focus on are kind of these items at the top. News calendar, our staff, student, and parents, and that's where the resources are going to be. So you'll notice here too, let's talk a little bit about the calendar. So on every page, left-hand side is the district events calendar. Right-hand side will be the latest district blog post, I guess you could say. And then underneath that are just the run-on of the last 3 district blog posts, okay? So if we click on one of those, we can see a little bit more information. There is a page, like if we go to the news page, that's basically, you want a snapshot of what's going on in East China School District, this is the place to go. Every building that enters a blog post is going to show up here. Now, the one thing I noticed yesterday that I need to add is a filter so we can filter out buildings, which we can. But right now, you want to know what's going on in East China. You want to know what's going on in the buildings. This is the page you go to. Okay? Next item, again, we talked about the calendar on the left-hand side. Every building's at this point set up the same. On our home page, every event, every calendar event that we have is going to show up here. Now, we can do a filter, and I'm going to go, instead of here, think categories as buildings, okay? So right now, every building shows up on our main page. If I'm Gearing Elementary or St. Clair High, only their calendar of events will show up. But on the main page, it's everybody. But we can also do, let's go to our, this is the shorter version, this is the larger website of everything. So think categories as buildings. So right now, it's everybody. But I just want to see what's going on at, let's say, St. Clair High School. Okay? So then that filters out St. Clair High School. That's only what's going on at St. Clair High School. I want to go back. Let's say I want to go see what's going on at St. Clair High School and the district. So that's kind of how you select the buildings and filter out what you want to see is going on. We exit this out, and then that's everything. What I like about this, too, a couple features is this calendar. By default, it's in this agenda mode, okay? And you can go day, week, month. You can even do like it's called a poster board view. So what's going on today? So there was more events on the 28th today, but as the time passes, if we put an end time on a date, it's not going to show up in the calendar because it's already passed. Okay, we can still see it in the month view, but I love the poster board view or the stream view, and you can, you know, at your leisure change this. So on the 28th, this is happening. I know we had a couple things at St. Clair High this morning, but again, it'll drop off. So tomorrow, the things that I have enter, as we continue to enter and populate this information, you'll see more and more.
So does each individual school update their own calendar?
They will, yep. I have a nice front end. And the other thing when you start talking about websites is things that get old, articles that get old, and you don't want that stuff out there forever. By default, I've built in some timelines where the articles will drop off. Anybody that enters information into our website and the office staff will get their own dashboard. This is what I've uploaded. I can delete it, edit it, you know, make it go live. But think categories as building and filters. Bottom, One more thing on the calendars. So I'm a parent. You can filter out a calendar for your building, and you can also subscribe, which means you can add add any item. It'll automatically update to your Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, et cetera, et cetera. That's what's cool about mobile.
That's cool.
Okay? The other thing I like is the map. If we go back home real quick, I like the map feature that's embedded in this as well. Let's say we go down here and we want to go, and again, every building has a footer like this. Their address is right here. We want to go right to East China Schools. And if I'm on a mobile phone, this will open up right into Google Maps, and then I can drive right to the location I need to. So let's say I just want to open this up in Google Maps. Okay. One of the things I'm going to move, if we look under departments, create another couple links. But East China Stadium, where's East China Stadium? So the East China Stadium page, we'll add that, Mrs. B. Buck, to this. That article would be great on this page.
Okay.
So we do that. And again, you can just add this. Same with events. If I go to calendar, let's say I expand an event, and I go read more. Give me more details. And again, where is it housed? There are things on here that we can add as the buildings add. We can put fees on here. You know, if there's a cost to get into a football game or a cost to get into a sporting event, we can put fees on here, meaning it's $5 to get in, that sort of thing. Okay. Easy to navigate, blah, blah, blah. I think I got it. I've
What
talked long
about the
enough.
athletic schedules? Are those on here?
Right now, each athletic department has their own website. So I've just put on
Okay.
their building pages, I put their website as a link. But I still think that we should populate the dates in our calendar of events. So right now, as we continue, now that it's up and we move forward and everybody starts adding their own information, you know, that'd be a good thing. But right now, it's just a link.
Craig, it's fantastic,
Yeah.
and I
Is it
can't
good?
thank you enough. I know you spent countless hours on it, and many on your own time, so we really
I like it.
appreciate you.
Yep, thank
That's
you,
good.
Craig.
All right,
Love the
thanks, guys.
picture. Makes me want to swim.
Anything else? Okay, item number 3 is the academic spotlight, Marine City High School, and Mrs. Sherry Becker, the Science Olympiads.
Good evening, Superintendent Saibula, Vice President Frank, and members of the board. I'm very excited to be up here starting the 2017-18 school year in East China, and I'm honored to say I am part of the MCHS staff. And we have great things going on. Tonight, we're going to highlight one of the many programs that we offer the students. With me, I have Mr. Paul Dimmer and some of his students to showcase Science Olympiad.
Thank you. Good afternoon or evening now. I appreciate your allowing us to come here to highlight a little bit about the Science Olympiad teams. Along with me is Pam Young from the middle school, because we've decided that we're going to just combine the two together and have a more robust program. A little bit history of the Marine City Science Olympiad. It started in 2007 at the middle school with Pam Young, and then I was asked in 2011 to start one up at the high school, so I said sure. Didn't know what I was getting into, but it's obviously I'm still here, so it's been a great time. We have two different schools, so let me hand it over to Pam so she can explain a little what the middle school team is going to be about.
Okay, so starting with the middle school, originally the team is 15 members, and I had split that up between 6th, 7th, and 8th. But as we looked at trying to get more kids involved and change the dynamics of the team and bring the two teams together, I am allowed to put some 9th graders onto the middle school team, because most of the Macomb districts are set up K-6, 7, 9, and then 10, 12. So I'm able to put up to 5 9th graders on my main team, which is the main competition. So we kind of decided in order to get more involved, I would make my original team 5 9th graders, 5 8th, 5 7th, however that, you know, depending on the kids that want to come out for the team. So that'll be the main team. And then I can pull in the JV team would be for me 6th graders and anybody else maybe that wanted to try it new that hadn't done it before. I could pull in another 15 kids on that alternate team. So that way I can involve at least 30 kids at the middle school level, hopefully getting them prepared then to move on up to Mr. Dimmer. And then he's got his set up as varsity JV.
So as you see, I'm trying to get a nice feeder program coming up into the high school. We're competing against some of the toughest schools in the state, and they do not discriminate between class sizes. So our 530 students, we compete against schools of 2,000 to 3,000. And we do fairly well. So that's what we noticed. We looked into what schools are doing, and the bigger schools are going 10 through 12th, and their 9th graders are going down to the middle school and boosting that team up. And so I figured, why not do the same right here at Marine City? So right now we have 5 seniors, 8 juniors, and 15 sophomores who have signed up. I know that's not 15 members, that's a little bit over, but we're going to do some testing to see who will make the top 15. All those who do not will then go down to our JV team. The 9th graders are going to be kind of an in-between. At regionals and at certain types of invitationals that both schools are going to be invited to, the 9th graders will be competing at the middle school level. At certain types of invitationals that are strictly at high school, we're going to bring them along with us as our JV team. So they're going to be kind of in between. And I feel that's going to be a great unifying effect for both the middle school and the high school. Some of the benefits of participating in the Science Olympiad is obviously learning valuable scientific process skills. They develop time management skills because not only are they having to do their schoolwork, other sports, but they are on their own developing their events, whether it's a study event or whether it's a build event. And obviously also it's going to strengthen leadership skills and teamwork abilities. One thing that I left off on there is it will also look great on college applications. In fact, we just had one parent and a daughter, in fact, they're here today, go to U of M, and they were talking to the administrators, and they were like, so what are you involved in? And she mentioned that she was involved with this the Marine City Science Olympiad team. And it's really interesting is that the U of M people had actually said, oh, we've heard of you guys and how well you guys have been doing, and we're keeping our eyes on you. Yes. So I think
pretty proud of that. We were kind of a little sleeper school.
the first few years, yeah, they're like, Marine City, where, who are these people? And I love that. Now they know. There's 23 different events, and right now they're pretty much identical between the middle school and the high school. There are a few differences. So that's why we thought it would be great to bring the middle school kids and the high school kids together so that they can start studying, and the high school kids can teach them better study techniques. So we have life, personal, social sciences, such as anatomy and physiology, disease detectives, ecology, herpetology, which is the study of reptiles and amphibians, thank you. Microbe mission, Earth and space science, dealing with dynamic planet, meteorology, road scholars, rocks and minerals, solar system, astronomy, and remote sensing. The physical science and chemistry portion deals with hovercraft, thermodynamics, optics, chemistry, and forensics, which is kind of combining both of those. The technology and engineering design portion deals with building. These are most of the build events. The middle school is building a battery buggy, a roller coaster. They make a tower out of balsa wood, and Wright stuff, which is basically making an airplane. The high school is going to be dealing with helicopters, a Mission Possible, which is kind of a Rube Goldberg machine, mousetrap vehicles, along with towers. And then finally, the inquiry and nature of science is experimental design, fast facts, write it, do it, mystery architecture, game on, which is where kids actually have to make a computerized game. Something called Fermi questions, which is going to be very difficult. Like, what was one of the questions? How many grains of sand are there on the Earth if they give you a certain amount of information? And then finally, write it, do it. So these are the 23 events, and once again, we have 15 students that have to be involved in all 23 events. So they all have to take usually 3 events, 3, sometimes 4 events per person. Wow. So I thought, let's bring up some students for some demos.
That's the fun part.
Okay, first is Rachel May. She's bringing across she made a bridge.
Yeah, this one's a bridge. So hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a
Hi,
student
Rachel.
at Marine City High School. This is the bridge I made 2 years ago, and this actually plays ninth in the state of Michigan. I don't have a full weight to actually show how it works, but this is like a 5-pound weight. And so typically what happens is they feed a bucket down through the center right here, and then the weight is suspended from So the weight is suspended from the top of the bridge and then is held down. This bridge weighed about 15-ish grams, and then it would hold 15 kilograms. So the ratio is pretty good. So, and then I'll turn it over to Randy.
Hi, I'm Randy Carnahan, and the event I'm going to show you is helicopters. And helicopters has a sister event called gliders, and the two differences, this one has to fly up and hang for the longest time, and you want it to like hang on the ceiling. They use rubber bands to power them, and gliders, you want it to fly in almost perfect circles around the room. And your score is based off of hang time for both of those. And you get points based on like the parameters it fits in, like if it's overweight, you get deductions and things like that. We got 2 more.
Paul, when do they do all this? Do they do this like at lunchtime and after school?
Lunchtime, seminar time, after school, weekends, yeah.
Okay.
Whenever they can kind of.
Whenever they can, yeah, right.
Hi, I'm Marissa May. I did Mission Possible this past year, which is an event where you're required to build a Rube Goldberg-like device. So you're basically given a start task and an end task, and you have to use simple machine transfers to make it all work in between. So the start task for the past year was to pull a plunger and then release it into the machine, and the end task was to raise a flag. I'm sorry, all that racket back there was my fault. It kind of activated, and so it's not set up right now. I would like to run it very much. And this is Kyle
See how
McLean.
stressful it is, one little mistake. It's like,
Okay, hi, I'm Kyle McGlenn, and my event was Robot Arm. In this event, you want to use the arm to collect pennies and then move them into the target. 1 second.
The pennies also had to be either heads or tails. I think they had to be, they put them in, and if you can get it in heads, they get certain points, and if you flip it and get some tails, so there's points and deductions and things like that.
So yeah, kind of like that, except they couldn't be stacked. So right now I wouldn't get any points, but if I did a full demonstration, that would take like 3 minutes. So that's the robot arm.
Right, the pennies had to be separated, and they could not be touching each other, or they wouldn't count. But they're given 3 minutes to do this, and they take the best out of 2 trials. Thank you. Appreciate your.
The arm.
Thank
Built
you.
the arm.
He built the arm, yes.
Wow.
And they give them a set of parameters, like at the beginning, they get a set of parameters for whatever they're doing, and they can choose whatever materials they want to build it out of. It just has to fit the parameters. So it might say you're not allowed to use any metal, or you're not allowed to use anything that is wood or whatever. So they have to really read those parameters super carefully and make their device fit those parameters in order to get points. Otherwise, they can either be knocked out of the competition or points deducted if they don't fit the parameters as well. So that's kind of a challenge to read those directions and figure out what's actually being asked of them to do that. So sometimes it's reading the directions 3 and 4 and 5 times.
Correct. And one of the downsides to that is things like that cost money, a lot of money, and we're all paying it for it ourselves. And then when we go against the high schools like Eisenhower and Stevenson, and we see some of the devices that they have, we know that they are definitely bought devices, and you're supposed to tweak them. They're not supposed to be using them exactly as bought. So we do a great job with what we have.
Yes, you do.
Our successes, excuse me, in the past, as long as we've been here, we've always been in the top 10, both the high school and the middle school. So we've done a great job. Marine City Middle School has received the Spirit of the Olympiad Sportsman Award for 2 years. So that was a nice little...
Good sportsmanship.
For the high school for the past few years, here's kind of where we have sat. So when we started in 2011, our best time ever was at a 5th place. And if you take a look at all the schools that we are competing against, these are some top-notch schools. Even the small schools like De La Salle, which are private schools, they have plenty of money behind them. This is the Macomb and St. Clair regionals. So we've taken 5th the first 2 years, and then we dropped down to a 7th, slowly moved back 6th and 7th. And then for the last 2 years, we've taken 3rd place. So the question is, why did we jump up from 5th place to 3rd place in the last 2 years? And the answer would be invitationals. In the last 2 years, we've started doing invitationals. The last 3 years, which we actually qualified for states, we placed 32 out of 48 teams, so that was at the 67th percentile. In 2016, we did 26th out of 48 teams, and we took 54th percentile. And last year, they've upped the ante and allowed 60 schools to go to states, and we took 30 out of 60, so that's the 50th. So obviously, there's a continuous improvement there, and hopefully that will continue. Our schedule for this year, like I said, we're upping the ante. We've only done 2 invitationals in the past, so now we're doing 4 invitationals. We're starting a lot earlier. December 9th is our first one in Sylvania, Ohio. It was either between Portage High School or Sylvania. Portage is 3 hours away, and Sylvania is 2 hours away. It's right over, right next to Toledo, so we thought we'd hit that one first and see what's going to go on. Perry High School, East Side Invitational, which is at Stevenson High School, and then Frankenmuth High School, which is a great place and time to go because we can also get chicken. So those are our invitationals up through February. Our regional is March 17th. And then if we make the top 5 teams, we can hopefully make it once again to states, which is on April 28th. That's, do you have any questions for us?
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I
You guys
appreciate
are awesome.
I appreciate all your support.
They're super good kids to work with, so we're kind of blessed on that.
Yes.
Thank
Very
you
so
thing,
much.
Mr. Dimmer is doing, he approached me about a few weeks ago, is if you've been driving around town, you may have seen the signs posted in the yards of some people. I know if you came off the River Road towards up Meisner, there was a couple Mariner signs lived here. He does have those for sale. They'll be for sale at the school. They'll be for sale at the football game. Anywhere he can sell them in order to make a profit to support his program.
We're also got some rally
Yeah.
calls, and I would like to see everybody. Thank you very much.
We're
Thank
very
you.
proud of your
Thank you.
team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is our consent agenda. A motion is needed for the approval of minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting on July 24th of 2017, approval of payment of bills, schedule of investments, and the approval of new teachers.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mullane,
Support.
support by Ms. Hebach. Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So carried. Item number 5, recognitions of persons wishing to address the board. No green cards, no green cards. Okay. Item number 6, closed session for the purpose of discussing student disciplinary action. The recommended action is that the Board of Education goes into closed session pursuant to Section 8B of the Open Meetings Act, Act 267 of 1976, that being for board discussion connected to the discipline of a student. Motion is needed.
So moved.
I'll need a roll call vote for this. Mrs. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Ms. Feebuck?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Disarara?
Yes.
Okay. Then the motion carries. We will return after closed session to adjourn the meeting. Item number 7 are items for the next regular board meeting, the Spring Athletic Awards, Annual Bullying Report, and the Neola Board Policies Update and Revisions. So on that note, we will proceed to closed session, and thank you everyone for coming this evening.